Good evening, everyone. I'm Marian Masone from the Film Society of Lincoln Center, and I'm also a member of the selection committee for New Directors, New Films. So I want to welcome you to New Directors on behalf of the Film Society and the Museum of Modern Art, and to screening of a very unusual film tonight, Five Broken Cameras. And it's interesting to see how an incredible work of art has been made from someone taking pictures in his backyard, essentially. I'm very happy that both of the filmmakers are here. They went through a lot to get here. I want to thank Kino Lorber, the distributor of the film, and I also want to let you know that the film is going to open at Film Forum on May 30th, so it will have a life beyond the festival circuit. Yes, you may applaud that, because it's something we work very hard, everybody in this field, to do, to get these films out much and a lot. Anyway, we will have a Q&A after the film, so please do stay. I think it'll be really, really interesting. But right now I'd like to introduce the directors of Five Broken Cameras, Emad Burnat and Guy Davidi.
Thank you for being here. I just arrived 1 hour ago, and I just came for a short time, and I'm leaving tomorrow. Actually, I came just special for this screening. So we are gonna be here after the screening to the Q&A.
I just would like to thank really shortly to the Film Society of Lincoln Center, and to the whole team, and to the Museum of Modern Art for having us, for inviting us, for insisting that we'll manage to be here in New York for the premiere of the film. This is very exciting for us. And also for Richard Pena and Larry Kardish and our beloved distributor Richard Lorber and the Kino Lorber team for having this film distributed in theatrical releases all around the country, which is really, really important for us and for so many other people. So thank you.
Please welcome again Emad and Guy. Turn around so I can see you both. I guess the first question is for both of you, but first for Emad, which is, when this all started and you started taking your camera, did you always know that you would make a film out of it? And can you talk about when Guy came into the project as well? If it was just 2 years ago when things were ending, or were you in this as it was ongoing?
When my village started to, when they decided to resist and to struggle against the wall and the construction in 2005, so I decided to pick a camera and to take part of this with my people in the village. So, the idea was just to document and to film for many purposes. It was important to film and to document, to protect myself and to protect the people around me. And because I thought the camera is very, very good witness for what's going on and for what's happening in the village. And so the camera became my friend, and for me the camera is very, very strong weapon. This weapon doesn't kill people, but this weapon opens the eyes of the people. So, so after many years of filming and documenting, after maybe 5 years, I called the guy to join and to make that. I told him we can start and construct the film. So, but I knew him before in 2005, very early, when he came to my village to participate and to support the people in the village in the struggle. Yeah, so 5 years of documenting before we start to work together. And I I decided to make the film, but I was not sure to make it very personal because was for me it was a very hard decision to take it to make it very personal film. But you know, after many years of filming, I feel that this what I am doing is affected me and affected my family, affected my brothers and my friends. So I have a good story to tell.
And I think it works that way because it is so personal that
Yeah,
you
it's worse because
and your
it's so
neighbors.
yeah, so personal, and many films are made about the conflict and the occupation and the war, but these films, it's not, it's in general, they talk about the situation in general, it's not personal. And this one is from my point of view, it's very personal film.
And Guy, can you talk a little bit, and maybe both of you, of how you took all of this, or much of this, this filming, and actually were able to craft it into telling the story in this way?
Well, to start with, in 2009, when I was engaged in the film, very fast we decided that the film would be telling Emad's point of view about things. So the idea was to find, to look for all the dramatic events and to tie them into Emad's personal life. So these are not just two people of the struggle of Bilin, but these are his friends. Because the thing is that everything is in Bilin is connected. So you can, it's your neighbors, it's your friends, it's your family. So you can connect almost everything to Emad's life. So we had to find the most important incidents that are connected to his work as a cameraman and to his personal life, to his family. So we started creating a script. We had a conversation about the way he lived throughout the years, and then to create a first narrative script of the film, and then looking into the footage, a lot of footage, hours of footage, and then it took us, I think it took almost 2 years to edit it. At the last session of editing, the last period of editing was made in France with a French editor that was, we could have re-look about the whole structure and go into the scenes and develop them more. It was a long process because of the amount of the events, and I think also there's so much violence that if you just throw them on the timeline when you edit, if you just put it, it neutralizes the effect.
Yeah,
so you get bored. You see people shot and wounded, and it bores you at the end, which is terrible to say, but it's the truth. But once everything is connected to life experiences, and you have Jibril that is kind of a guide to the film, you can see how he grows and develops throughout this period. So you feel there's a sense of progress, and this is not just violence that's happening to someone that you don't know. It becomes very.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I mean, for me, I found so much of it. Many times when you and your neighbors are protesting and marching in the streets, it's almost like everyone's out for the day. It's parade. This is what you do because that's what's happening. And they are, in trying to get things back, they can begin as almost joyous occasions. Everyone coming together to try to make things happen. And then you see then things just, turning out very, very badly. And also the idea, I forget who says it at one point early on, and they say, well, you could be going to a wedding or you could be spending your afternoon trying to get your land back and protesting. And it does, it becomes what everyone in the village is doing. And like, I see it as almost like a strange kind of home movies, because this is what your lives are, which is very most interesting. Let's take some questions. Yes. Yeah, it's two questions sort of related, and I'm going to try to make it concise for the audience just to repeat it. It's about B'Tselem and other organizations that give cameras to Palestinian people to make films. And the first question is, do you think this is valuable? And the second is there any way that all these organizations that give these cameras out can make an even sort of bigger project? I mean, I know there are many organizations that do various kinds of projects, and as you said yourself, the camera is a really important tool.
Yeah, the camera is a very, very strong witness, and very important to have camera and to film. So it's for me, it's very important and very, very powerful when the people have cameras and film what's happening in their areas. I've been filming since the beginning, 2005, and I was giving footage always for B'Tselem. Before they started their project, giving cameras for people, this B'Tselem project came later, maybe 2 years ago, to start to give cameras to people, because they saw that the camera is very, very strong witness. So yeah, so my idea is very good, and it's actually this I was thinking, and this is was my project to make it, and to bring fun, to have cameras, and to teach children, to teach kids before B'Tselem. But it was I didn't get fund to the project, so it was made by B'Tselem. Yeah.
I want to say something about that. I have a bit different opinion about this. I think we have different opinions about that. I mean, obviously it's very important to have cameras, and this film wouldn't have been made without cameras, Emad's cameras, and so clearly it's important. But I think in Bilin, throughout the years, there were thousands, and I'm not exaggerating, of people holding cameras, not thousands of days of people holding cameras. There were so many journalists passing there, and so many filmmakers coming from Europe. I mean, in some demonstration, I think even in most demonstration, there were the same quantity of cameramen as participants in many of the days. So it's not just about covering. I mean, films are not about covering the world. We just put the camera and, I think Susan Sontag said that there was an expectation when the first cameras, the still camera, just came, the technology of it was just available to everyone, that people will just see photos of Africa and the things will change, and it never happened. So it's not just about covering what's going on or getting the image or getting the footage. It's about bringing new ideas, and that's what filmmaking is about. So I think the fact that we have important footage is nice, but the footage is not what creates a film. What creates a film is, can we tell a story that will bring a new idea that people are not they don't know it, or they are not or the way we kind of play with emotions and new emotions. That's what makes a film. That you can do with the images, but the thing is what you do with the images. And so that's for the second answer. Maybe B'Tselem can take all the footage and create a beautiful film, and maybe they can take all the image and they create a fragments of Palestine, which we have for years and years and years in many places in the world. There were so many other films. So that's the real thing. And
Yes, in the back.
I have two quick questions. The first one is that how did you get the shots from almost like behind the Israeli military army, the soldiers? A lot of the shots, like you almost feel like you were filming within the army. The second question is that has this film been shown in Israel? What was the reaction?
Okay, so the first question is, how did you get some of the shots? Because some of them do appear to be from, say, behind the military, and I know you had additional footage. I saw credit for that. And the second question is, has the film been shown in Israel, and what has been the reaction?
It's not easy to be close to the soldiers and to film. It's I risked my life always being near the soldiers and between the soldiers and the protesters. And you saw they destroyed many cameras, and they hit me many times by bullets, or smashed my cameras many times. So, I thought that I have to be the camera, and me have to be part of this resistance. So I have to capture everything and to capture all the footage. So I have to be close to the soldiers and to the people, to be a witness and to be like a protection of the people. So it was my choice to be near the soldiers, and I was not working for TV or agency who want just to make a shot from far and to go home, to go back. I have to be there near the soldiers and to be inside the people, inside the soldiers.
And actually, before we get to your second question, and I noticed a few things where and I don't know if it is you or if it's someone else took that footage, you are actually, in fact, it's from behind the soldiers themselves. Were you able to actually be behind them at times, or did somebody else shoot some things that came from other points of view?
All the footage, 95% of the footage you saw in the film is my footage, and all the footage you saw behind the soldiers or close to the soldier are my footage. And this footage is, it's nothing about the big stuff. I have a big stuff of 700 hours of footage. So, it was important for me, and it's need courage to be always behind the soldiers or in front of the soldiers, and to capture the footage from close, to capture the faces and the shots and everything.
And then, so the second question is, has the film been shown in Israel?
No, not yet, but going to be shown in two festivals in June and July, and it's going to be released in Israel and Channel 8 also.
I think we're going to take one. Oh, yes.
There have been many powerful films about the occupation. I can think of Simon Vuitton's films On the Wall and The Death of Ritual Corey. This film, of course, is in that vein of being very powerful. I think of how close you got as a Catalan. I think of Robert Pattinson's famous phrase, "It ain't good unless it's close." And this film, can have a tremendous effect on opinion throughout the world about this conflict. And I asked the
So the question is, and it's for Guy, is how he sees that these kinds of films can affect opinion?
Well, yeah, because
Okay.
sometimes people watch these things, as you yourself said, they become numb to it.
So, yes.
So what do you see in this?
Mhm.
I'm reacting, of course, to the film itself, which is so powerful.
Of course, I don't know if it can actually be answered because it depends upon the people who are looking at the film, but I don't know if you want to speak to this idea of, and maybe you can talk about, reactions to the film as it's been shown in festivals and around the world so far.
I think, well, of course, there are films that were made that were very strong in the past, but I think there is kind of a very known discourse when dealing with Israel and Palestine, and this discourse is also an emotional one. There are patterns that you can find in films, generally in films. So our job as filmmakers is to try and understand what are the patterns, the way people think about reality, and to try to crack them with emotional tools, and to go to all these shadows in our consciousness where people are just not willing to confront this and just to put light on that shadows. And it's not just showing them something that they don't know, it's showing it in a way that they will find themselves dealing with emotions that weren't aware that existed there. So you see people when I can imagine not just Israelis, but when they come to see this kind of film, they're gonna have so many blocks and so many objections and resistance to it. So you have to address all of this, and you have to, for example, in this film, we really tried not to judge the soldiers, not to put blame on Israel or Israelis in the way that it's written, in the way it's edited, to make it as delicate as possible. And that's a choice that it's becoming more and more rare because people feel so much anger inside, and this is part of the film also. We speak about the anger, so how do we deal with our anger? And how do we create something positive of it? We speak about it in the film, but it was also truth for us, for Emad, for Bilin, for the villagers, for me. So this is so in that way, I think people that are not usually willing to confront these fields, they find themselves with speechless because they didn't expect it. And I've heard so many times people in Israeli channel or with the Israeli friends that did see the film or supported it, that they were telling me another film on Palestine, and they were admitting at the beginning I didn't want to join. The people from Channel 8, they said, we would never have sponsored another political films that the public is bored, they don't want to hear about it. But when I saw the trailer of the film, this is something new, this is so emotional for us, and we want to be in it. So we want to invest in it. So it's to find the new thing that will penetrate to people. Yeah.
And I think that you did find that, and it's you and your life and your neighbors and how you live this day to day, which I think is the hook that does get people. That is all we have. Oh, I'm very sorry. It's all we have time for because we're making full use of their time and taking these two gentlemen to a discussion across the street, which you can join us on if you want to in the Film Center right across the street. I thank you very, very much for your time and for getting here and for your film.
Thank you.
And I thank you all very much for being here.